Today is Thursday, Parashat Ki Tetze. We've said before that the Torah and its mitzvot covers every aspect of life. And the parasha of this week, there are two mitzvot. One of them is Ki Tivne Bait Chadash. Actually, there are many mitzvot, but two of the mitzvot in this parasha. One of them is Ki Tivne Bait Chadash Ve'asita Ma'ake Legagecha, which means when you build a new house, you must make a guardrail around your roof. If you have a flat roof, you want to make sure that no one gets hurt by inadvertently falling from the roof. So you have to make a kind of a guardrail, a wall, something, a protective edge to stop people from falling by mistake. Velo tasim damim bevetecha, so that you will not cause blood to be spilled in your house. Ki yipol hanofel mimenu, if someone would fall from it, from the roof. So this is a mitzvah that makes total sense. We have to be careful with safety, whether it is in the workplace or at home. I mean, in the United States, we do have OSHA, which is the Occupational Safety and Health Association, I guess, that deals with all aspects at work, in the workplace, that it should be safe for workers. There should not be anything that would be risky or be dangerous. In the homes, as we build houses, we have inspectors that come and inspect different stages to make sure that everything conforms with certain standards of safety, of construction, strength, etc. There may be different standards applicable in different places, but basically the idea is to make sure that the citizens, that workers, that people do not come into harm because of lack of safety. You could look at it just in terms of plain logic, but Torah gives that to us as a mitzvah, as a commandment. So when you, in your home, in your workplace, have situations, you just wash the floor and it's wet, you have to make sure to put a sign there so people don't fall by mistake. When you do that, you're not just being a nice guy. You could think, I'm doing a mitzvah. I'm doing one of the commandments of the Torah. And you elevate that simple act of being nice to others, protecting the safety of people around, which is a great idea. You can elevate it to a much higher level, a level of doing a commandment from the creator of the world, from Hashem. And that's quite an important concept to always have in mind, that there are many things that we could do just because it makes sense. That's fine. But when you do it also because it's a mitzvah, it has even greater, a bigger dimension, a greater strength to it. It's something that is much beyond just doing something as a simple act of being nice. There's another mitzvah in the parasha of this week, which says, Lo taharosh beshor ubahamor yahdav, which means do not plow with an ox and a donkey together. So, an ox and a donkey, you cannot bring them together to plow, to do work together, let's say to plow a field. And it's a mitzvah from the Torah. Of course, we have in these societies called the Humane Society for animals. They're careful about what we call in Hebrew, tsa'ar ba'alei chayim, the suffering of any creature, of any animal. But that's a concept that actually comes from the Torah. Like the Pasuk says, V'rahamav al kol ma'asav, Hashem has compassion on all these creatures. So we do not plow a field together, an ox and a donkey together. And the reasons are brought by the sages, by the farshim, the commentators. The Ibn Ezra says the reason for it is because an ox has more strength than a donkey in terms of pulling that plowing tool, and therefore it will be a suffering for the donkey because he'll be sort of like trying to catch up with the ox. And we have to be careful, even with animals, not to put them into a situation of suffering or undue pain or any situation like that. That's Ibn Ezra. The Baal HaTurim, gives another reason. He says we have to be sensitive to animals because the ox, it chews its cud. So in other words, after it ate, it ruminates, it brings back the food and chews it. And a donkey sees the one next to it, the animal next to it, chewing, and he thinks that he was just given food. And by seeing the one next to it eating, so to speak, and the donkey doesn't have what to eat, it puts him in a bad situation of wanting himself also to eat. And we're concerned about that feeling. It's not just jealousy, but you see somebody eating, you have a desire to eat also. That would be the animal reaction. And we have to be sensitive to animals, not just to people. It's an incredible concept. There are other reasons that are brought. The Baal HaChinuch says that it's because animals like to be with their own kind. They don't mix them together. Rambam, Maimonides says, because if you put them to work together, they might come to live together, and that's something that is not permitted in terms of halakha. But the idea here that this concept of being kind to animals and being careful about the suffering of animals is something that is just not a nice thing to do, that the Humane Society or different associations are there for. That's actually a concept from the Torah to be very careful with. Even more than that, when we sit down for a meal, if you do happen to have an animal at home, you should feed them first before you feed yourself. Like the Pasuk says, "V'natati esev besadecha rivhemtecha ve'achalta v'savata." I'll give grass in the fields for your animals, and you will eat and be satisfied. The order is first feeding the animals, and then you can sit down for your meal. So these are just two of the mitzvot in the parasha of this week. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen.